the clerk please call the order?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the Monday, October 3rd Board of Control meeting. It is 11:01. We have Nan Baker, Dale Miller, Trevor McAleer serving for Pernell Jones,
Here.
Nicole English serving for Mike Dever,
Here.
Michael Chambers serving for Armin Budish,
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as the alternate for the fiscal officer,
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is to approve the minutes from September 26th. I will make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Nicole English. All in favor to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, let's do our first item.
Our first item is BC 2022-575, Department of Public Works submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award to DBT Transportation Services, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $49,578 for the purchase of an automatic terminal information system installation and training for the county airport, and recommending a purchase order in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Board. John Myers on behalf of the Department of Public Works, asking for authority to make this purchase on behalf of the Cuyahoga County Airport. This will greatly increase our safety and the communication of up-to-date weather to pilots departing and approaching the airport, and seek authority to purchase this item.
Thank you, John. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Thank you very much.
The next item is BC 2022-576, Department of Public Works submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Brand Safeway Services, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $31,805.52 for rental and purchase of installed emergency structural shoring in multiple areas at the Justice Center, and recommending a purchase order in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Matt Reimer with the Department of Public Works. Board members may recall a little over 2 months ago, we had an item, BC 2022-462, that approved a mission-critical item for emergency shoring installation for some structural deficiencies found in the P2 level of the Jail 1 Justice Center structure. So this is a corresponding item to purchase the shoring that was installed under that mission-critical. The amount that the rental cost would equate to about 9 months worth of rental, and we expect to have this shoring in place beyond that while we complete other structural analysis and engineering to determine how to proceed with eventual repairs. I can get into that as needed. This is then to purchase about 40 pieces of various structural shore assemblies of various load ratings for the areas that they were installed in. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Matt. Are there questions from the board?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
Have we already paid for some rental, and if so, how much?
Through the chair to Councilman Miller, yes, we paid for 1 month rental out of the original procurement, BC 2022-462, and this item picks up 1 additional month of rental to get to this purchase authorization. So it'd be 2 months of rental that we will have paid for. The original procurement also has an amount that we'll be reducing it by it was for the eventual tear down of the shoring when it's no longer needed. However, since we'll be purchasing it, we'll be reducing the original procurement by that amount.
They did give us a discount on the purchase, is my understanding, because of the rental, correct?
That's correct, and they also provided us with new shoring since at the time of original installation, because we suspected that we might be going down the purchase path, so they used new shoring instead of old.
Additional questions? Mr. Mackler, yeah.
So Matt, what's the total between the emergency purchase and this? How much will we end up spending on the shoring?
Round numbers, I want to say that we were right about 21,000 or so for the original procurement. I'll get you the exact numbers, though, but I believe it was 21,000 for the original installation, plus this 31. We did have an appropriation for approximately 130,000, which would cover these two procurements, as well as our trades labor for other make-safe repairs in the garages that came out of the same structural inspection,
And do
but
you believe,
unrelated to this procurement.
with the purchase, do you believe this is something that will permanently be there until we decide what we're doing, or what's the next steps after this?
Not necessarily, but what complicates this as far as a time duration is that it is directly underneath the Sallyport Drive and directly underneath the West Third loading dock, all of which those structural repairs would have to be completed from top down because we have to address the drainage systems that are on the top level first and work down. So there would be an interruption of service to the Sallyport and to the third dock that services the entire Justice Center. So we would have to plan that extensively, carefully, and change operations for the period of construction.
Do you know, I know it's early on, but do you know an estimate for all that work? Or have we started that prep work for that?
No, we would have to have that engineered, and we intend to do that with our already on contract structural engineer consultant, with Janie Elsner.
Additional questions? Please.
So just, I guess just a little concerned in how we're saying it. When you talk about shoring up, and you're talking about specifically under the jail Sallyport vehicle drive, and is there any issue there of collapse? Is there anything there that we should be more concerned about, that we need to step it up more than what you are to make sure that this doesn't collapse?
Through the chair to Councilwoman Baker, no, the engineering determination that we received back is that these are distresses that need something to be done, and they warranted having the capacity of additional shoring to support those critical beams, but they were not in any imminent need of collapse, imminent danger of collapse, but those conditions couldn't go on any longer without additional augmentation.
Okay, so you're convinced that doing what we're doing should keep everyone safe without any surprises that we could later say we should have known better?
Yes, that's correct.
Thanks.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I believe, Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-577, Department of Development recommending a payment on a purchase order to fund for our economic future of Northeast Ohio in the amount not to exceed $33,000 for membership dues for the period October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023.
Hi, Laura Sims for the Department of Development. This is the annual membership dues that we have with the Fund for our Economic Future. We have been a member since 2006 with them. The membership allows us to have a voting a seat on the board, which is good for us. Also, one of the and they do a lot of work in the Cuyahoga County area for regional growth and development. So being on the board helps allow us to have a say in how the funding there is directed. In addition, the fund will also manage some contracts for us with no administrative fees if we need to use them for that as well.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Are there questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Macular. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next
you.
item.
The next item is BC 2022-578, Department of Information Technology, on behalf of the Department of Health and Human Services, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Integrated Precision Systems in the amount not to exceed $43,545.01 for a state contract purchase of access control proximity readers for installation on 39 doors at the Old Brooklyn Neighborhood Family Service Center, and recommending a purchase order in connection with said RFP exemption.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This item is to change over the card readers to our current system, as for some reason previously was not done at the Old Brooklyn Neighborhood Family Service Center. And this also sets up access as our appraisal team will be moving over there for the new appraisal period. So I just wanted to get the building ready for their access and use.
Thank you, Janelle. Questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Nicole English. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-579, Department of Information Technology, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to M&J Technologies Direct Incorporated in the total amount not to exceed $151,840 for Barracuda Cloud Archiving Services for the following time periods: March 1st, 2021 through February 28, 2022, and March 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2022, and recommending a purchase order in connection with said RFP exemption.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This represents two separate invoices, as noted here, from services to carry us from 21 and 22, and then to carry us into 22. Honestly, these invoices were missed, and we just wanted to rectify the issue as soon as we got alerted to that by the vendor in August. So once we got the information, we moved some money around in order to accommodate and pay for these services that we have been utilizing. What we have done also, moving forward, we already have submitted the procurement to change over these services into a full package that was previously approved, I think either the last meeting or prior.
Okay, Janelle, thank you again. Questions from the board? Please.
Just curious how, I can see perhaps one gets missed, but how did they both get missed?
So what happened is that they sent it to a person that is no longer here, and so, you know, if we're not looking for that, and we process a lot of invoices. So once we got alerted to this, and we made sure that we rectified it. So unfortunately, this does happen. We do now have an email box where things should go, and it's more than one person that has access to this box.
Okay, that's good.
So, you know, in case somebody leaves, there's more than one person that can look at that and address those issues and get them paid out.
If I may, so will the 12-1 invoice 2022, will that now be another?
No, we already procured the next set. It was a Barracuda. It was a comprehensive package that we purchased. And I want to say it was either, again, the last meeting or the meeting before.
Right.
It was for $244,800. So we have like a larger package that we already procured and processed. So we won't see an issue with that.
When that began as of what, the 1st of December after this?
Yeah,
or
so it's already, we already
another-
paid for that and processed it. So we should be covered.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any additional?
question.
Please. Yeah.
Is the new contract starting on 12/1? Is it with the same company?
Yes.
And was it done as an exemption, or was there competition on this?
I believe we did state term, but I'm not 100%. So I can get that information and send that out to you.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, we do a lot of business with M&J, and we wanted to make sure we stayed in their good graces. So we wanted to rectify this as soon as we found out about it.
We do, I do recall state term, I'm almost positive, so, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve this item.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Nicole English. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
The item is approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-580, Department of Information Technology submitting an amendment to a contract with LexisNexis Risk Solutions Incorporated for Accurate for Government Plus online locate services for the period October 1st, 2013 through September 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to September 30th, 2027, to expand the scope of services effective October 1st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $123,840.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This is actually being processed on behalf of HHS, specifically the Departments of Children and Family Services and the Office of Child Support Services. This service is used for detecting fraud and doing national, state, and federal background checks for individuals coming through and being processed in those divisions. And we did utilize an amendment to this contract, and it's been fairly, well used by HHS in order to do backgrounds on individuals.
Thank you, Janelle. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Mackler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-581, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Arisma Group LLC, doing business as CDN for an enterprise resource planning system support services for the period June 28, 2021 through August 31st, 2022, to change the scope of services effective upon contract signature for all parties, to extend the time period to March 31st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $74,250.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This is actually being processed on behalf of the HR department. Cindian was a group that we used prior for the stabilization efforts in IT. And so they also had supplied support for HR with their GHR module. IT is no longer utilizing the services for stabilization, but HR is continuing to utilize their services for assistance in the GHR module until March 31st of next year.
Thank you, Janelle. Questions from the board?
So, does HR not have the capability to operate the system without outside assistance?
I'm going to phone a friend, and Sheba is coming.
Good morning, Sheba Marshall from Human Resources. So we've done pretty good at getting our GHR services up and running, and we're utilizing them. We wanted to continue to use Cindian as we're going through open enrollment, and we're using the new ERP system. All the payrolls are all done and all of that, but we don't know how that's going to impact HR and our open enrollment system and our benefits. We also weren't sure that we knew all the things we needed to know as it relates to payroll, new benefits, new costs, new union contracts, things like that. So we wanted to make sure we had them on board. We're not utilizing them for, I think, more than 10 or 20 hours a week, which is why the amount is so low. But we just need to make sure they're on board so that nothing goes awry as we're going through open enrollment.
So, the response says, to correct the backup, there are no additional IT funds that are being used. The additional funding is for HR. So am I correct that we're requesting an additional $74,250 not to exceed that will be spent in the HR department? Is that?
Yes, it's not for IT services. That is for HR.
And do we anticipate that this is the last 6 months that we will need this contract, and that when we get through the end of its time that we'll be done with it?
Yes, that's why I use the date March 31st, because it gets us through new open enrollment. It gets us through the next possible wave of increases with all the new system intact and up and running to make sure all the pieces and parts are working. So that's why I chose that date.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, then, please, yes.
Just to reinforce that, this is probably our third time of getting additional help for the enrollment? And we haven't been able to do it on our own yet.
Oh, no, last year, we were able to do it on our own.
Okay.
My concern was that we now have a new payroll, new deductions, going through a new system, a new way, and so will our benefits. And we have an open enrollment.
And we have an
Employees have to have the ability to access, and now that all the pieces are together
Yeah.
and working, I want to make sure they're all working together.
And
So
I
that was the
understand, better
reason,
to be
yeah.
safe than sorry.
Yes.
And it is a temporary time, and I think
Absolutely.
it's the right thing to do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We don't want chaos in the HR department as we're switching to a new administration.
Yes.
That would be most unfortunate.
Absolutely.
Okay, great conversation. All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is approved. Next item.
Thank you.
The next item is BC 2022-582, Office of Innovation and Performance, submitting an amendment to a contract with Squire Patton Boggs LLP for federal advocacy services for the period April 20th, 2020 through April 19th, 2023, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $75,000.
Catherine Tkachuk, Office of Innovation and Performance. So this is our federal advocacy contract with Squire Patton Boggs. And I'm not sure the reason why, but we need some additional funds to get through the end of the contract period. And this will also allow the new administration to have a few months to decide if they want to continue with federal advocacy services, want to continue with Squire as their federal advocacy efforts, and if so, we can look to amend that contract, or if not, do an RFP to get a new contract in.
Okay, Catherine, thank you. Board members, feel free to ask any questions.
Yes, so does this contract come with the option for some extensions, and if so, how many?
So I don't believe there's any written into this. It was just a 3-year initial contract, so we would have to come back with an exemption to extend it.
So this contract's gonna end next, so we're not extending the time period, we're just adding more money, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, additional questions, please.
So am I to understand that we're unclear as to why additional funds are needed?
Yeah, I don't know. When I took over the contract in June, we looked at what was put on the original contract versus the monthly retainer fee that was needed for the contract, and there was not enough money to get through the full period of the contract. I'm not sure why that was the case. I don't know if it was just a math mistake, or because the original contract was for 10 months in a year at $75,000, so I don't know but it's a monthly fee. That's a standard monthly fee that was in there. So we identified that it was an issue when I took it over in June and started bringing it forward.
I mean, this contract was done out of regional collaboration before, and I think they hadn't done many contracts, but I know she was given a set of money, and so I don't know if, again, when they went to spread it out over the months, this is how it happened, but Public Works was involved just because, like you see, 2/3 of this is coming out of our budget because they are helping us with mainly the new federal programs coming down and grant opportunities. So I think, perhaps there was just some unknown of, getting it to the end of the contract term.
So I would just comment that between the stimulus program and the rescue plan and the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure program, there just has been a whole lot of need and opportunity for federal advocacy, so it's not totally surprising.
Yes, we have used them on a regular basis, partially just to track all of the various programs and opportunities that are coming through at a federal level. We get, weekly emails that list all of the different things that are coming down. So it is quite a lot right now.
They're extremely helpful to us. I mean, I don't know, we wouldn't have been able to do what we have the last year or so and get these grant writers on board and working through it without them. So we definitely appreciate their services in Public Works.
Okay.
I
Please.
agree with that. I think the need has been there. We got them in time, and it's understandable that they're useful. The 75,000 extra takes us to April 19th of next year.
Mm-hmm.
What is if you amortize that out, what is that a month?
It's $8,333 a month, I believe.
Okay, got that number, huh?
Yes.
Okay, so we're paying them $8,000 a month over the course of 2 years?
So that's what we've been paying for the full 3 years of the
3
contract.
years.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
I think what happened is the first contract, the first was 10 months in a year, which was 75. And I think, I'm guessing on this one, that they may have just carried the 75 for each of the previous 2 years, but it really needed to be a higher number about, for the next 2 years, for the full 12 months.
So we anticipate you'll be back next year to either extend this contract or have a new contract.
It will be up to the next administration if they want to continue federal advocacy services, but assuming that they do, yes, we would either extend this or bring forward a new contract.
Okay, good, thanks. It's
Excellent.
understandable.
Sure. Any final questions? Seeing none, then I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-583, Office of Innovation and Performance, submitting an amendment to a contract with Kegler, Brown, Hill, and Ritter Company, LPA, for state advocacy services for the period February 18, 2020 through February 17, 2023, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $37,500.
Catherine Tajic, Innovation and Performance. So this is our state advocacy contract. This one, there was enough funds on it, but this is actually to extend it for a few months, again, to allow for that additional decision, but also to align with the state budget, as we didn't want to be switching or having to deal with switching an advocacy service or dealing with it during the state budget process. So this will also get us through the end of the state budget year as well.
Good, Catherine. Thank you. Questions?
I agree that that makes a lot of sense. The state budget will be submitted by the governor around February 1st, 2023, and we wouldn't want to be ending our contract 17 days. Doesn't make sense. I strongly support this and will make a motion for approval.
We have a motion?
I may ask, though.
Sure.
Why would we originally, knowing all of what Councilman Miller just said and understanding the deadlines, why would we have ended it in 2023?
I believe it was written as a 3-year contract to just start when it was approved. And so I think that was just the start, and it was just kind of written as a 3-year contract. So we'll get it more into line with the budget years as we go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Magler?
Catherine, is there the standard 30-day out clause if, for whatever reason, the next administration wanted to terminate the contract?
I'm pretty
I
sure.
believe so, but I can confirm that with you. I don't want to, I don't know for sure.
I would think so. Catherine, this is all general fund. You're not sharing this with,
Yes.
And
Okay.
just as a note, the 30-day out clause is included. I pulled up the contract to check, so.
Thank you.
Yep,
Oh,
you're
very good.
welcome.
May I ask
Please.
that question you just, is there any sharing of those funds with, as we did with Ridge and the Road and Bridge Fund? I mean, do you get a significant part of this state?
We can examine that a little bit later on and see if there's that opportunity, but right now, I don't, unless you know for certain.
I believe we split both contracts initially, so I'm not sure why this one is just general
I
fund.
think what we had done with this one, since it could be covered by what the portion was that was in the general fund, we just kept it for general fund on this one, but I can go back and look.
But in the next contract, if there is another contract,
We
we'll
would-
take that into
yeah.
consideration.
Yes.
Yeah, and we definitely, I mean, we still use the service. It's,
Mhm.
many departments are using their service.
Thank you.
Okay. See no final questions. We already have a motion out there by Councilman Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item's approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-584, Department of Human Resources, recommending a payment to the Greater Cleveland Safety Council in the amount of $5,302 for membership dues for the period August 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2023.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources. This is our annual membership with the Greater Cleveland Safety Council. What it is it's a safety council in which they go over best practices for workers' compensation, workplace safety, and things along that line. If our workers' comp staff attend 10 of their meetings throughout the year, we receive a 2% rebate from the State Bureau of Workers' Compensation, which we're estimating at approximately $74,000 for 2023.
So it sounds very reasonable. Okay, questions from the board, please.
Why is it that this is a repeating contract? We know we're going to do it because of the benefits that we get from it. Why is this 2 months late?
So there is a combination of, there was a communications error, and we're working on improving communications with the workers' comp team, as they are located offsite at 1642 Lakeside. And so we're working on improving communications with that group. In addition, we also had one of our staff members, our executive assistant, who normally handled memberships. She recently left to move to council. So I was not aware that this contract was coming, or this membership was coming up.
It always comes back to council. Okay, so
So we're
You're
working on
aware.
sorting out our memberships now that she's gone. And
when we have repeated memberships and they're no-brainers that we're going to be doing it, it just seems like we should.
and then we didn't receive any notification from the Greater Cleveland Safety Council until 9/21.
Okay.
I will also add that a lot of these memberships, we had a change in the fiscal office. So some of these would have just came to my queue directly for approval.
Yeah.
The new person who took over was putting them to the board, because these are repetitive, and so you probably won't see this one again. We'll see, but, certainly that also probably delayed a little bit. Okay. All right. Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mackler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-585, Department of Law submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a grant award recommendation to Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation in the amount not to exceed $50,000 for the administration and management of law school admission test scholarships to eligible post-secondary students in connection with Next Generation Law School Admission Test Scholarship Program, commencing upon contract signature of all parties for a period of 2 years, and recommending a grant agreement in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Jonathan McGorry with the Law Department. We received a request from the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Foundation to help support their LSAT scholarship program. The law school admission test acts very similar to the SAT, ACT. It's needed for entrance into law school, and financial aid scholarships usually hinge on your LSAT score. So the CMBA identified an issue with getting kids in their Louis Stokes Scholars Program into law school. Funding for LSAT programs can be tough. I mean, you can go to the library and get books, resources, but access to one-on-one courses or additional help can be pretty expensive. So this is a scholarship fund to help kids pay for those programs. So this is going to be $50,000 over the next 2 years.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Questions?
What department is this being funded out of?
For the 2 years, this is coming out of the Law Department's budget.
Any additional questions? Mr. Mackler, please.
Jonathan, is it capped at per scholarship? Is there a maximum amount someone can receive?
I'm not familiar. I know that the CMBA came up with this program for with Kaplan. So I think it's just a set, like you can get a scholarship to pay for the program. I don't think it's you get part of it or all of it. I think it's just access to the program.
How much is the program?
I'd have to follow up to get that information.
Do you know how many students were hoping to help with the 50,000?
I do not know currently how many students that would cover.
Is there any administration cost with the Bar Association in here? Or is this all going toward, 100% of it goes towards scholarship?
I typically request that 100% goes to the program. I have the contract that we wrote up right here. Yeah, right now it's written that 100% will go to the mission activities, which will be the LSAT prep course.
And what is the eligibility? How are the students chosen?
Right now, this is a new program, and I didn't see any eligibility requirements. They anticipate that most will come from their Louis Stokes Scholars Program, and to get into that program, you need to be a member of, or a high school student or a graduate from a CMSD high school or East Cleveland's Shaw High School.
Are there other matching funds? Who else is giving to this program? Do you know?
I don't know that offhand, no.
Additional questions, comments? Councilwoman, please.
Yes, those are all questions I was going to ask. Number of students, how much is the program, and is anyone else contributing? Can you get back to us on that?
Absolutely.
On all three of those?
Mhm.
Do we feel comfortable moving forward?
Chair, I think those are some good questions. I would recommend we just hold it potentially for next week and then to get those answers.
I'm okay with that. If, Jonathan, is this preventing stalling anything or just not going to hurt anything? No?
No, I've been working with them on getting the documents and everything together. There's no rush on this.
Then why don't we try and get some answers to the questions and we'll hold it then. All right, thank you. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-586, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Great Lakes Training Incorporated, the Center for Strength-Based Strategies, in the amount not to exceed $60,000 for motivational interviewing training services for the period December 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and recommending a contract in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Tara Brown from Juvenile Court. This is a contract for a new service, motivational interviewing training, with a new vendor, Great Lakes Training, and it's funded in part by Reclaim and targeted Reclaim dollars. So it's procured as an exemption as they were written into the grant.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the board? Please.
So what, this is new to the county, a new project. What type of motivational, what are you trying to achieve?
It's training for court staff. I believe it's motivational interviewing. So they're going to do two-day trainings. The second set will be based on scores. They're going to do an advanced trainings for a train the trainer so that we can, as a court internally, can continue to provide the services to other court staff, like new staff that come in. So it's just a different module of training for court probation staff.
If I may, so if you say the word motivational, what is it, what do you do that's motivational, that's part of this, or is that just a word that's used as part of the grant?
I think it's just a training module. I'm not exactly sure, but I could follow up with that.
I'd be curious to know, if we're using the word motivational, what does that mean as far as wanting to add this, as it's new?
Yes.
Yeah. Just so I understand it better.
Will you be able to get back with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are there
I wouldn't hold it for that, I'm just more curious.
additional questions on this item? Mr. Mackler, please.
Question on the funding source. What's the difference between Reclaim grant and then targeted Reclaim grant?
I believe it's based on the work of the staff, but I can get with our programming director and get back to you on that as well.
The work of the staff, she thinks, but she'll get back to us.
Like either the type of youth or the program that they work in.
I asked that a while ago, but I can't remember it either, so it was like a year or so ago. There's two of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't mind, send them to the clerk and she'll forward them out to everybody. Okay, great. Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mackler. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-587, the County Prosecutor's Office submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to M&J Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $36,102.30 for a state contract purchase of 34 workstations and related accessories for Children and Family Services Unit, and recommending a purchase order in connection with said RFP exemption.
Josh Brower, Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office, Information Services Team. The item before you represents costs associated with upgrading peripherals, monitors, and workstations for the CCPO's Children and Family Services staff from M&J Technologies.
I have a question. I know Jim was here a couple of weeks ago. Seems like you're going through each of your units.
Yes.
Are you winding down, or are you,
Winding down, this is the second one. I believe CISA is next on the
so you
docket.
got a few more to go?
One more to go, I believe, after
Okay.
this.
Are there, thank you. Questions from the board for Josh? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Thanks. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-588, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Early Childhood, recommending an award and enter into an agreement with Cuyahoga County Community College in the amount not to exceed $6,971.94 for rentals of space, refreshments, and related services for the Invest in Children annual meeting on November 15th, 2022.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Invest in Children. Again, this is a contract with Cuyahoga Community College for the Invest in Children annual meeting to be held on November 15th. I'm sure your invitations will be in the mail shortly. We submitted an initial bid for this event on July 5th, and we only received one bid. We conducted a second effort on July 19th and received 3 additional bids, so 4 in total, and Tri-C was the lowest and best of those bids.
Thank you, Marcos. Questions from the board? Councilman Miller.
Where is the event going to take place and what time of day?
The event is at the Tri-C Corporate College East Side, I believe. The event starts, I believe, at 8 o'clock and it goes to 11. And they will have a breakout after 11 with some targeted community partners.
Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
The next item is BC 2022-589, Sheriff's Department recommending an alternative procurement process, which will result in award recommendations to the various providers listed in the total amount not to exceed $280,000 for emergency off-site medical services for inmates for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department. This is a request for our ultimate procurement approval for our inmate services for emergency medical needs. This is something that our nurses, our jail staff can't handle. They'll send out. We're asking for $280,000 not to exceed.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mackler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Moving on to the consent agenda items, which are BC 2022-590 through BC 22-592.
Okay, board members, there's only a couple items here. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, seeing no, oh,
Do you have a question?
please.
Just reviewing the Skill Up program. I know we've been struggling with this. Given what we have here in front of us as to how many employees were trained, are we satisfied with this? Is this something that you hope to exceed? Doesn't look too active, but I don't know what time frame we're talking about here.
Andrea Turi from Skill Up from the Department of Development.
It's like 13.
So which specific item are you asking about then?
The Job and Family Services, 592.
We have a number on the consent agenda here. We have 4 different accounts that we're working with for this particular agenda.
I think she just, in general, the responses that we got here, I think show, 4 employees, 2 employees, 4 employees, 3 employees, right? So I think she's just
Right,
trying
I'm
to
just
say.
asking, is that the goal you're trying to reach? Are you satisfied with those numbers? Do you hope that it's more?
It's a significant increase from last year.
It
I'll
is,
say that.
okay.
It's
So-
up. I have a report put together from our fiscal unit within the Department of Development, and it looks like last year we had 46 trainees, and year-to-date we have 148 trainees, so a threefold increase.
Okay, that's good. And you still have a remaining balance of 1.2 million? What I'm reading?
Let me give you the most
In the backup.
accurate, up-to-date number. $1,262,106.24 is remaining. So that means encumbered was over $737,000 for this year. And again, the report put together by fiscal in the Department of Development indicates that in 2021, we encumbered $64,000. So that's basically approximately a tenfold increase. We are serving significantly more businesses this year.
Good, that's good to hear. Is that reaching the goal of 148, I believe you said you wanted to be? What originally was the goal for the Skill Up
I
program?
don't have that information. That could come from Vaughn Johnson, the Deputy Director. We can get that to you if you'd like.
Good that it's increasing. Thank you.
If you don't mind getting back to the clerk with that answer, she'll forward it on. Okay, thank you. Any additional, Mr. Mackler?
Just one follow-up question on the skill up. For the Barron's bus, that's a significant increase per hour. What training was actually provided to go up by 50 an hour?
That is CDLB training. They're getting their driver's license to become a bus driver to, transport passengers.
And what were they before with Barron's bus, before they got their license? Because they're current employees, right? And then they move up?
Right. I don't know what their job classification was before they were drivers.
Thank you.
Okay. Additional questions on the items? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as listed. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on to other business.
There's no other business.
Is there any public comment?
No public comments.
I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Are you going to make the usual announcement?
I am. I'm so sorry. Our other business is that we will be having our meeting on Tuesday, October 11th, instead of Monday, October the 10th, due to the
Okay.
Columbus holiday.
Councilman Miller is always on top. Very good. Excellent. So seeing we have no other business, I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Yes, what's up? Sure.
You realize that we're not going to use.
Okay.